Hi, my name is Nadia Rosemont, and I will be your presenter for today. My topic will be on building a Black student community at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. I'm the Assistant Dean of Co-Curricular Engagement and Student Leadership within the Office of Student Experience and Wellbeing. I've worked at UTSC for over close to 13 years now, and throughout that time, I've overseen student life programs and our international student services at UTSC. Before I begin, I want to practice an act of gratitude and appreciation to live and work on this land that is traditionally the land of the Wendat and the Anishinaabeg Nation and the Haudenosaunee. My parents immigrated here from St. Lucia, and now that I have the honor of being born here in Toronto, I'm taking up the responsibility as a treaty person to walk a good way, make sure that I'm taking care of our planet, our Earth, treating brothers and sisters across Turtle Island with respect and honor, especially in the work that I do within education. And I just want to recognize the presence of Aboriginal people on this land. I know it seems like a maybe recent or distant memory, but the spring of 2020, a lot was happening at our campus and in the world. Throughout the global COVID-19 pandemic, we saw the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. And as an institution, U of T launched an anti-Black racism task force to address anti-Black racism and import Black inclusion and excellence within our tri-campus community. At that time, I'm proud to say that U of T Scarborough, we were a bit ahead of the game with the things that we've been able to establish years before to support our Black students that attend UTSC, but also Black youth within East Scarborough. And throughout the pandemic, UTSC led a Scarborough Charter initiative that called to action a lot of the Canadian post-secondary institutions to look at their ways to kind of re-examine their policies, procedures, ways of hiring, student services, to kind of be more intentional about removing oppression and systemic barriers within our systems. So the first story I want to tell is acknowledging our roots. A lot of the foundation, or all the foundation of the work that we do at UTSC was inspired by our students and led by our students. A shout out to Rochelle Lichmore, who's a graduate from West Hill. She attended UTSC, went to a few lectures, looked around the room and thought, where are my Black peers? How come I'm the only one or one of few? She was a part of a club, Amani Alliance, and her club members created a mentorship program where they went back to their high schools to mentor um, middle school and high school Black youth to kind of help them realize that post-secondary would be an option for them or should be an option for them, college or university. At that time, there was a Black director, Lisa Arneson, that was working in student life. Rochelle felt comfortable enough to approach her with this initiative. And then working together, they were able to get um, sponsorship from Marianne Chambers. The program is turning 17 years today, thanks to that trio that established that. And I think the lesson from that story was at the time our institution had Black identifying staff that Rochelle felt comfortable to approach. She felt seen, and that staff member knew uh, what needed to be done, understood, related, empathized, had their own experience, and was able to take that mantle on, but still include students in the process and still have them be a part and lead that initiative. We still have those vibes within Amani today, but a lesson of asking our students for the ideas. I know it's a different generation these days. Our youth could be very troublesome, but oftentimes they have a lot of wisdom. They have amazing ideas. They know what their needs are. So asking them for those things and listening, but also creating a space that's inviting, where possible, having folks that reflect the student population that students are able to see themselves and like want to go into that office, go into that door, and ask and be heard. So I think that that program that we have today kind of highlights those lessons that we learned, and its values that we continue this way in the work that we do with our students. Our next win was established before the pandemic and had to take a virtual angle because of the pandemic, but it was still successful. In years before, we used to host a Black Professionals Day. It was a day that, an evening with Black professionals within our network that were able to come spend an evening with our UTSC students and kind of just help them um, think about possible career opportunities, share their experiences, their stories, navigating working within the GTA, oftentimes being the only Black staff member on a team, at a business, at a corporation, and what that meant, and sharing those stories with our students to hear the truth and the experience to learn from it. We were really happy to kind of transfer this event online. So the image here is our Zoom, and it was very powerful for not only our students, but a lot of the Black professionals that attended virtually, for them to see Black squares across their screen, to be, in a virtual Black community together, especially, when we were going through our own highs and lows during the pandemic. um, Whatever was going on in our households, we were able to kind of gather together and support each other and continue the good work. And throughout based on student feedback, which was typically like a 2-hour event, we were able to make it into a conference, like a full day conference. That's what students wanted and needed, and we were able to grow the program in that way. We also established a pilot tri-mentorship program for our Black students that were involved in the Amani program. So virtually, they had a professional mentor in an industry. Hopefully, we tried to match where possible, but a mentor that they would meet virtually throughout the winter term to kind of just get some advice and support on next steps, life after graduation, applying to jobs, interviews, that sort of thing. It was very successful, and we were able to continue it. Right now, we're reevaluating the program and seeing if we maybe could keep it in a hybrid model that might help professionals be able to join after work virtually and not have to rush to the and commute to our campus. But I think these two events helped us realize and ask ourselves who helps the helpers. So oftentimes in the work that we do, when we ask for volunteers, for people to mentor, to stay behind after hours, it's the same people, the same students that step up, and trying to recognize what are we doing to help those helpers, how can we support them and their success, and recognizing the students that help the Amani youth also are going through their own journey in post-secondary, navigating university as Black students. So what can I do, what can my team do to help them persist, stay in school, graduate, and think about post-grad options maybe. So thinking about what does your student need to be successful, and even who does your student need to be successful. So calling in your network, people that you know, friends of friends from a variety of fields, sharing their journeys. We all have our own ways of navigating success. Some people went through college, some people went through university, some people are entrepreneurs. All those stories matter. All those stories are important for our students to hear the many ways of being successful and navigating, being Black in those spaces. So just utilizing your network, asking for help from others to help you help the helpers. Another great win for us came from a community member and journalist, Shalene Drakes Tull. She approached our community partnership and engagement office with an idea to, and especially during the pandemic, that we were seeing a rise of Black content, Black TikTok creators getting their dance moves, getting their work, their jokes just co-opted by other bodies, not getting credited for the creation. Not so like kind of Black folks getting not being in control of their own narrative. So Shalene approached our campus with this idea called the Modern Day Griot Project, and it was an opportunity to kind of empower our Black students to tell their own story, going back to the traditions of storytelling or a tradition, and based on the West African Nguzo Saba principles. So Shalene created a program that helps our Black students disturb the mainstream narrative of Blackness, so kind of reclaim their joy, their pride, and share the stories with the community. And we also have an element of mentorship of younger students within the Durham District School Board. So within after our UTSC students kind of complete the program and the experience, they kind of help the youth become their own little modern day griots, and tell their stories. And this has been helpful for the youth to kind of prepare for their resumes, prepare for the applications to university, to college, when they might have to do a letter of intent or a little bit of a mission statement. So being able to have a Black older peer support them with that and help them navigate and tell their story has been pretty powerful. And I want to share a quick video of Shalene just sharing the importance of this program.
Blackness is not a burden, although the world would have you think so. The stereotypes and anti-Blackness we face are burdens. Unfortunately, anti-Blackness can color how we see ourselves, as well as how the world sees us. So what do? We create spaces to heal and to celebrate us. We take the time to think, reflect, and support one another, knowing that when we go into the world each day having to face injustice, lack of support, racism, and more, we have a community. Through Modern Day Griot Project, we'll have the opportunity to build a support system of people to help face the ups and downs of navigating the world as Black people. We'll create, we'll talk, we'll learn, we'll laugh, we'll celebrate, and we'll give ourselves the space as Black people to heal and make a difference in our communities. Learn more. Visit us online, register for the Art of Afrocentric Storytelling, and apply for the Modern Day Griot Project starting in January.
So that's just our facilitator and creator of the program, Shalene, who created a little bit of like a promo for our students to kind of explain the initiative. And it started during the pandemic virtually, and we're really excited to continue that program and have it be hybrid this term for our students. So there's a mixture of two in-person sessions and virtual sessions to kind of build community and keep the momentum going. And we'll be hosting in-person sessions with the DDSB. So the inspiration behind this idea is inviting the community. Uh, Oftentimes in the work I do, it's really important for me to make sure that I realize I'm not always the expert in the room or on a topic, on an issue, that there's people in the community doing the work, have been doing the work for years, that have the ideas. So stepping aside and creating the space to have the community be the experts, and lead the way, and also helpful for our students to recognize that they're part of a larger community. Oftentimes, when students attend college or university, they're in their campus bubble, going to class. So recognizing that um, they're part of Scarborough, they're part of Toronto, they're part of Ontario, and so on. So the role that they could play as a citizen within their community could be very powerful and important. Other things that we've established for our students, we have a Black student orientation. So it's a very powerful welcome. It's one of the first events within the first week of school to help our students find each other, see the Black staff on campus, the Black faculty on campus, to just make sure, like, okay, this is an interesting time for you navigating post-secondary. You might be the first in your family, in your community, or you may not be, but these are the resources, these are the faces that are here to support you and we're here to welcome you. So our Black orientation has been an evening session, and then this year we were able to have an amazing fair with a like live DJ, a barber, and just resources from across the campus and tri-campus showing up to like just tell their services to our students. And it was really nice to hear from tri-campus colleagues say like this is the best orientation event I've been to. Like the community is amazing, and it was like yes, like that's what we want to help our students start on the right foot and feel welcome and know that they made the right choice coming to UTSC. The other event, this is a picture that's really powerful to see, is that we have a weekly Let's Talk session for Black students, and they just gather and talk about whatever they want to talk, or maybe it might be responding to something that's trending in the media and the news, but just a really powerful space for our students to gather and be in community with one another, to debate, to have discussions, to support one another. And I think this is a really great lesson and suggestion in creating Black spaces. I know oftentimes um, within the things that have happened to our community, we're often discouraged to gather because it might make other people intimidated and uncomfortable. But kind of reclaiming spaces and gathering and being in community is very important and very powerful for us to do. And it's needed. Like often we need to support each other. We need to be in space with each other to joke about whether it's plantain or plantain or curry goat or goat curry. um, to have that joke, to have that community together, is so powerful to help us be able to navigate and be together in those spaces. And then being inspired about like who supports the helpers, thinking about what we're doing for the staff and faculty. Um, this is about maybe 4 to 6 years old at our institution, University of Toronto. Racialized staff have come together to create connections and conversations. So, an affinity group that supports staff at each campus that we're able to gather in community to support one another, to offer professional development sessions, self care tips, strategies to help us navigate the system that we're working within, to support each other and have the strength and the resources to support our students. It's been very powerful, and some of those images are from the events that we've had over the years, um, networking events, like little paint nights, and that sort of thing, to just be together to support one another. And just recently, I started with my colleagues a Black Student Support Network. So for Black staff that create events and programs and services for Black students, for us to like check in on each other, because the work could be tiring and it could be hard when you try to support your community. And but also to share our resources and our ideas, make sure that we're not competing for students' attention, that we're trying to share the same events or promote and uh, refer to one another as needed. It's been really powerful to be in those spaces and for ourselves to be gathering and to see ourselves in the room and be in community with one another. So thinking about what are we doing to support teachers that from different identity groups, you folks as parents and caring adults, are there opportunities for you folks to gather and be in community with one another and share your wins, your triumphs, your challenges, to joke about, like I was saying before, curry goat or goat curry, um, but also to share resources, to be aware of trends, to be aware of things that work and don't work, to be able to question and challenge the system and learn what's going on, so you're better able to support your student and child and your family, and also for strategies for yourself to be aware of, to care for yourselves, to help you navigate the systems and the places that you work, as you navigate your own, incidences of microaggression, racism, discrimination, things that you might want to learn to help you in when those situations arise. And lastly, like for you folks that might want to be interested in continuing or furthering your education and learning, we could all be lifelong learners. So for you to be able to gather and learn from each other, or learn from the school board, learn from a college or university in your area, for your own personal and professional development, could be quite powerful and useful in those spaces. So just encouraging us to gather. Oftentimes we're so busy in the day-to-day hustle, surviving every day. It could be quite useful for us to pause, if possible, and gather to support each other and help each other and learn from each other um, as much as possible because we can't always do it alone. So some of the questions, next steps that hopefully that you're having in your brain and thinking about and inspired about are we asking our students what their needs are, because they do have wisdom. Yes, sometimes they have some attitude. They think they know everything. They think, they think they're wiser than us, but sometimes they do know they have some good ideas. So, what can we do to ask them and to listen to them, but also make sure that we are inviting and that we're welcoming them, and that when possible, that we're inviting them to the table and including them on the process. How are we supporting the helpers that always volunteer, the students that are always staying behind, showing up, doing it just because they love it and they want to, help that teacher, help that parent? What are things that they need to kind of succeed and thrive? Besides this amazing experience of helping, like what can we do to help them persist and continue and be successful? Is could be very powerful and rewarding for them and caring for them as well. Are we utilizing our network and asking for help? So friends of friends, I know that oftentimes we know the so and so's daughter that was a lawyer, or so and so's son that was a nurse, or a profession in this building. Calling upon our network to join us and help us mentor our youth and share their stories of navigating the industry that they're in, sharing how they maybe didn't go to college or university and they were able to start their own business and take a risk, or they did and they dropped out and joined again, and why that was. Whatever their journey might be, it's important to hear all the ways to success and all the pathways. So inviting and including our community because they also have really amazing ideas and stories to share and can help us carry the load and burden of mentoring and supporting our youth. How can we utilize our space and rooms for Black students to gather? So, when possible, like our goals and our priorities at our campus and at our institution is to have permanent space for our Black youth to gather. But until then, I'm utilizing classrooms and lounges that we could book on a weekly basis to kind of schedule a time for our Black students to gather. So, what are ways that we could either dedicate or utilize a schedule to have weekly, bi-weekly, monthly gatherings for our youth, for ourselves, and making sure that's encouraged and that they feel welcome and safe to gather together. And lastly, how do we support our Black teachers and our Black parents and caring adults? What are ways that we could gather amongst ourselves and each other to just be in space with one another, to support one another, share strategies, resources, and education with one another, and celebrate our wins and support each other with our losses? So I hope some of these ideas inspire you and get your brain thinking at things that are possible, that could be very free and no cost to do, or small, little, very little cost to do and implement within the next couple of weeks, months, to a year. I'll pause to see if there are any questions um, in the chat. Someone asked about the Modern Day Griot project. Yeah, I'll be sure to share the website for it so you could learn more about it. Any other questions?